All right. All right. So, welcome back, everybody. We've got Cheryl and Dale here from Dale's from Canada, obviously. Got the Canada shirt on. Both of them are up there in Canada and good friends. We haven't seen them in over, God, what, 2 years?
Something. 2 years, over 2 years.
Yeah, we're forbidden from seeing one another in person because we could infect one another or carry some awful pathogen.
Yeah. We don't want it to cross the borders.
Yeah. So we got some craziness going on. We want to just talk to both of these two about the Canadian experience. It's probably worse than what we're doing here in the US because you're quite a bit more socialist up there. I don't know if you're aware of this.
Just a tad bit.
Yeah. How many guns do you have in Canada? You got a lot of guns?
Just the good people have guns.
Oh.
And then steal them.
Who? Say what? Uh-oh.
We're running frozen again.
We're going to have some issues. We're going to work through them. So say this again, Dale. Only the good people? How do we know this? Uh-oh. We're running into problems with the internet. Can you hear me now? The internet is unstable. Oh, this is going to be a challenging interview. All the way over there and all the way over there in Canada, we can't make a connection. Can you guys hear me? You're looking like you can't.
I can hear you now, but
very well.
We can hear you, but you're frozen.
Okay, well, that's okay too. So anyway, Dale, we were talking. Dale is a police officer. And Cheryl, you work at a dentist on the other side of the border over here, right? We may have to try this again.
Yep, I'm in Detroit in a dental office.
Yeah, so you cross the border all the time? How do you get away with
I'm allowed.
How do you get away with that crime? Isn't that
the loophole is that I was essential.
You are essential for sure. But no jabberoonie. So what are you, like, special?
I guess so. I guess with my loophole is I have a green card. So my green card allows me to commute to work, live in Canada, but I also hold residence in the US.
So Dale, you couldn't get away with it.
I forgot that.
You couldn't get away with crossing the border every day, could you, Dale? Even as a police officer?
No, you have to go across.
You have to quarantine, right?
Right.
Well,
how's that work out for you? If you have to quarantine for 14 days from crossing the border, how does that work out?
It's kind of a farce because our oldest son, Brock, went to Florida for a month in December, came back in January. And so when he came back in, he was supposed to quarantine for 14 days. They tracked his cell phone. They called every day. They came to the house one day, but he didn't quarantine. He didn't do the testing. He was supposed to test on day 1 and day 8, and he didn't. And then after the 2 weeks, they just stopped calling and stopped bugging.
So that's interesting. Florida, that's in the United States, right? Got to cross.
Yep. Yeah. That's right.
Did he fly across the border? Is that the magic way?
No, he drove, and they verbally asked him if he was vaccinated. So he did a white lie.
Good.
Well, he's vaccinated. He's been vaccinated with all the vaccinations that he's been given over his life. He's not unvaccinated. He's vaccinated and healthy.
This is very true. I'm heavily vaccinated, and I hate to say it. I don't think they started doing as much bad shit with vaccinations until recently. I think they got a little more aggressive lately.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, they're pushing the envelope.
Some of those throwback vaccines are just not as loaded with whatever they've got in this one, I think.
Mercury and all the good stuff.
Right.
Nano. I think they're doing nano now, Dale. Get up to speed. It's nano.
Nano 5G.
Whatever. Hey, I've seen the slides, right? I watched some of the videos where they do the blood slides and they microscopically show what's in the blood of these people who've taken this, and I don't want to have anything to do with it. I don't care what you
No thanks, not me.
right.
No, it's not required. Your body doesn't need it.
So Dale, what are you doing nowadays? You were a really awesome policeman there for a while, and you ran into the long arm of Justin Trudeau.
Yeah. I mean, I spent 29 years doing what I do, helping people, being kind, referring people, doing what I could to make their lives better in times of need. And all of a sudden, they put out memos saying you can't go to work unless you've got a vaccination of the COVID type. And if you refuse to take it, you are no longer welcome here in the building and you must go home.
And no pay.
And they cut you off of your pay. They
Can't hear you.
cut you off of your pension contributions. They cut you off of everything, your finances. So what they do is they're trying to starve you out. You either get the shot or you don't come back to work. So our work has been good. We're covered by an association, which is a union, and we filed grievances, and we're hoping to have that grievance heard maybe in July. And until then, I'm sitting on the sidelines, praying that everything works out for us, financially, and we're okay because we take care of ourselves, and we are just held in abeyance right now. We're just being told, weekly, bi-weekly updates of what's going on, and it's kind of with the lawyers. But I truly believe the longer that we wait, which July for the grievance to be heard, that things won't be able to fire me, and they will ultimately lose because they've been unreasonable in their expectations of employees to just essentially do as I say and take the shot, whether you have a title, a rank, and you are not a doctor and you cannot tell me what to do with my body. And everyone is so focused on this shot. This shot means everything to the government. And there's got to be a backstory as to why. But until I comply, I cannot go back to work. They've locked me out of work. They've taken my equipment, and I'm just sitting here in abeyance, waiting.
Ironically, though, if over the years, police officers who committed crimes, whatever level of the crime it was, were always suspended with pay and benefits until it went through court and were fired or whatever, which very rarely police officers are fired. So if Dale would have committed a crime, he'd still be getting paid right now, but yet it was because of the vaccine mandate. And so no paycheck, no benefits, nothing, cut right off.
New rules, I guess. They just said new rules.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's not fair. And I've seen guys over the years and gals that have been suspended with pay. And these things take, sometimes 2-3 years to run through the courts. And whether they're guilty or they're not guilty, they get paid till the end of the day. And I could have circumvented the system and committed a crime just to get my pay and benefits for my family, doing it out of necessity. But I have a high level of integrity that there's no reason to compromise myself for a paycheck. It doesn't make sense to me. So I just took the high road, kept on doing the same thing that I've always been doing, have high level of integrity, and just saying, I'll see you in the summer when this is heard. And I believe in my heart that people like me will be heard, and the arbitrators will realize that over the years, this has been kind of a silly little game, and one person doesn't have the power to tell another person that they must take a shot. Nobody tells me to take a bath every day or brush my teeth. I can figure that out myself, but I need another person to tell me to take a shot when my body is perfectly healthy and will take care of itself.
Yeah, and I think it's much more than just a silly little thing. I mean, this is messing with people's lives. This is trying to starve people into compliance. I mean,
Mhm.
lucky you're in the situation you are, but if not everybody is financially responsible the way you folks are, but if it happened to someone who's living a little tighter ship, it can really cripple a family. It can really put them into a tailspin. So it's
Yeah.
nasty, and I believe it's criminal, and I think that the people who are doing this, not only will you be hopefully made whole and brought back whole, I think these people are going to pay a significant penalty for this type of stuff. They're not. I don't think they're going to get away with this shit. I mean, if there's
No.
justice, which we have not seen much in our lives of real justice, I think we're starting to get to the point where the public is demanding it. We're seeing it with the truckers and everything that's going on with the truckers is really encouraging to me. You know, I think we're still looking at a little bit of a show because there's such a bigger picture stuff going on with the economic shift that taken down a lot of these bad people in the world that have been, you know, running roughshod over us all. And there's a process of revealing that to the public, and it's painful. I mean, we're going through it. You know, your stories, you know, the kind of thing that unfortunately has to happen in order to expose how evil this governments can be.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
they can do to you with their boot on your neck is really what it is. Boot on your
Yeah,
wall.
you'll comply or you'll have no job. You're not vaccinating for the virus, you're vaccinating for unemployment. I mean, we've had over here in Canada, we've had nurses fired, we've had firemen fired, doctors fired. These are all professional people. And then we've had other people, healthcare workers, anyone who doesn't comply seems to get the bad end of the stick and they get fired. So it affects them financially and spiritually, emotionally, and you're tearing people's families apart. But they always say, why don't you just go get the shot? I said, if it worked, I would be all over it, but it doesn't work. And we know that from the start. And people like you and me do our research and we find out. And I always tell people with the caveat, whatever we hear is hearsay. We didn't witness the trials. We heard from a doctor. We can find doctors on both ends of the stick saying this is a good shot, it's safe. They say the same narratives, just like, you know, NBC, CBS, CNN, they all say exactly the same thing. But then you listen to other doctors who say, no, this is my field. This doesn't work. The shot will not work. We knew it wouldn't work from the beginning. And really, is it a cold? Is it a virus? They're all viruses, but we hear hearsay. So we don't know what to believe. So it creates a state of confusion. And when you have confusion, you have control. If you keep people spinning long enough, they can't formulate a plan. And all they do is listen to the next narrative, and they're so confused that that's control.
Right, right. And you know, the whole narrative about the folks that have had this bug and gotten over it seems to just be something that is conveniently ignored. Like, wait, I had this way back. Like, I already beat it, and my body's like got the antibodies. And for me to introduce another variable at this point is just not doesn't make any sense to me. Like, and I'm not an anti-vax person per se, but I want to know that this thing has been tested properly and that the data is very easily transparent. And it's been so obvious to me, no testing, no transparency on data, and a push so hard that there's got to be an agenda behind that push. You know, I know what it is, but I'm not going to try to convince anybody else that the government's full of evil bastards. But that's what it is. Okay, the government is really being. The government is being. See, the Great Reset that they talk about is not of. It is of the financial system, but it's also of the governments. The governments around the world are being reset. Like, Justin Trudeau's not long for your government. I got news for you. He's not going to make it. He's going to be out of there real quick. I don't know when, but that's part of the thing. We got to flush the toilet.
Oh, yeah.
We need new water in the toilet.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
It's-
I don't think, for me, working in the States, I don't think a lot of Americans realize how different it is over here and how abusive the mandates and laws were. Like our restaurants just opened again, like they were shut down on lockdown again. So these poor mom and pop restaurants haven't been making much money the last 2 years. So they just, not even a month ago, got to reopen, but only at 50% capacity. So they're trying to make up money for all that time loss, but they can only do it at 50% capacity. And everyone who goes into a restaurant now must present their QR code to get in from their vaccination.
Yes, that's where it gets very, very slippery slope for me, is when you start to make me verify that I'm in compliance in order to have privileges that you call privileges. I call them rights.
Mm-hmm.
I call them privileges, and that's where people are getting all jacked up. It's like these are not privileges. These are rights.
No.
Your job in the government is to protect those rights, not infringe on them. The
Right.
government should be there to protect us from like corporations infringing on our rights. But now the government's infringing on them. So who the hell is going to protect us from them? We're in a pickle here.
That's right. That's right.
Well, they've always got the one up because they know what's coming next, and we don't. We have to react to it. They get the right to move first, and then we have or oppose what they're doing. But when we live here in Canada, we call the United States the land of the free because things are a lot cheaper there. But things here, it's a socialist country where we have social medicine, which is free, but you live on 25-cent dollars. So you can make all the money you want, but you're giving it all back to the government in the form of taxes. And we've got carbon taxes and all these crazy things that you have as well, but they keep going up, and our gasoline is out of control. I know that's a big issue in the States. You don't dare raise your gasoline in the States; they'll be all over you. But I mean, March 1st coming up here, the spring's coming up. We're going to be allowed to go back to restaurants no matter what your vaccination status is, but you'll still have to wear a mask. And they're saying maybe mid-March to the end of March, they're going to get rid of the mask mandates. And at this point, you can't fly in Canada, you can't take a train, you can't take a bus without having a vaccination to get on those. So
and our kids can't play sports.
Kids can't play sports. They can't go to university or college unless you've got your vaccination. And they've truly tried to lock people down. And Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, has said it himself, if you don't get your shot, it's going to be very difficult for you to move around and to live. And he made it that way. And I mean, we're doing just fine. But when we start socializing with other people that either have their vaccination status and we don't, we can't go to Toronto, Ontario, get on a plane from Toronto and fly to any destination because they won't let us on the plane. And now they're using, you have to have the PCR test, the rapid antigen test. And it just came out that the rapid antigen tests have this ethyl oxide on it, and it's dangerous to people, to human beings. So they just came out with this, but people like you and I have already known this 6 months ago. And why would we want to stick that into our body? I don't know, for a test that is not 100% reliable. And so we're really locked down here in Canada. And I don't think the rest of the world really knows that we're probably going to be the last ones to give up all these mandates and such.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're still in the thick of it over there, and still heavily restricted. And over here, we don't have quite those levels of restrictions. I don't see you anymore, but we'll keep going. Hopefully, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, well, we'll keep going. Hopefully your camera comes back. There it is.
Sure.
And so, I think there's a 50-50 split in the United States almost at this point, maybe even more. It's very hard to judge on who is understanding that these vaccines are and were dangerous. Okay. And now there are people on two sides of the camp here that are saying, well, I never took it and I feel good about it. And, this thing's going away and I'm going to get away without taking it. And then there's people going, well, I took it And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And then the people who didn't take it are trying to say, well, you may want to do a little more research on that, because there's a lot of research out there that's saying that it might not be very good for you. So now you have people starting to wake up, with guys like Joe Rogan starting to bring doctors on and hitting millions of mainstream people, educating them that there may be something wrong with these things. And now you got people saying you should take an HIV test if you took a booster. Okay, so I think we're going to run into a backlash of people who've taken this that are going to wake up and go, holy shit, you guys were, who do I strangle? They're going to say.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
And so now we're going to be dealing with an angry mob of jabbed up people who are not only pissed off because they were lied to, but they're in danger. Right? Possibly. You could have a heart attack. You could have a stroke. You know, the pilots that were flying were being told they can't fly because you could have a stroke out at pressure.
Right.
Why? Because I took a jab? Problem. Okay. So, I mean, the faster that can happen for all of us, the better, because then we'll put the jab behind us and we'll start to deal with the problem that we've created. Right. But at the end of the day, the government's forced this shit onto us. So they're going to have to answer for that.
Yep.
Right. And I hope they give you your job back and send you over there to arrest some goddamn people, Dale.
Well, I hope I get my job back too. I mean, I'm still on the books, but I'm not being paid. So, I mean, there's nothing I can do at this point. It's in the hands of the arbitrators. But I mean, silently, Justin Trudeau is trying to change our labor code to mandate that everyone has to have this jab. So I'm going to hypothesize in 2025, you know, they're going to say, well, everyone has to have the COVID-19 shot. Well, that's old school. That's 6 years ago. We're over that now. You're putting old technology into your body that's not going to do anything. But the technology is there that they need you to put it in you. And you don't understand what they're trying to do. But we do understand what they're trying to do. And again, it comes back to control. I don't want your shot. Keep your shot. It won't make me work better. It won't make me taller, better looking. It's going to do nothing for me. It's going to do everything for them.
But is this the first step into the social credit? So your first ding on your social credit score is that you won't take our mandatory jabberoonie. So now we're starting to grade people on their compliance. And we're going to control access to a new digital system based on whether or not you've got an, I don't know if it's going to be on the phone and you can show like a green check mark. Yes, I'm a good little communist. And, you know, is that where we're heading?
Totally. Yep.
Canada's a good study for it. I mean, it's no secret to the United States that China has been on our here. Justin has a big following over there. He follows everything they do over there. And the Chinese own a lot of our property, as they do in the United States, because we give things away. And I think there's some kind of collaboration going on there. And, you know, again, I've got nothing against Chinese people. They're good people in their own way, and their country runs the way it does. And it's up to those people to change the way that they want to live. But maybe they like living that way because everything seems to be, you know, taken care of. You know, everyone has no higher authority in the world. You're a doctor, I'm a janitor. We're all the same people making it the same money. We're still eating, we're still existing, and maybe we don't know any better. But over here in Canada and the United States and in Europe, we get to live independent lives, and we get to do whatever we want to become what we want. And if you're not happy in what you are doing, then you need to change. And if you're unwilling to change, then you have to satisfy for what you are.
But I think in China, I've been there a couple times, and there's two classes in China. There's no middle class. So there's the poor peasant workers, and then there's the managerial level people, and there's no in between. There's a super rich class, just like there is here, but there's very few people that fall into that middle class where they can be independent and sort of wean themselves off of the government, right? Most people are working for a company over there that is a state-owned enterprise, and they must follow all the rules in order to maintain that that position, right? Or else they're gone. And then once you're gone, there's nowhere to go. You go to the street. And so the middle class is what they're really attacking in the United States and Canada, where we have similar cultures and similar. I thought we had similar amounts of freedom, but that changed since the pandemic came around, and now we're starting to see they're heading in that direction. And all it is to do is to kill the middle class and put you into the worker class and keep their elite class.
Yeah.
The elite class in North America is tied to the European elite class, it's tied to the Asian elite class, and they run it all through that World Economic Forum, and they global plan, and they steer us like cattle, and they think of we have no choice but to go along. And I we're in the middle of that war. It's amazing to be living through it. I'm sorry that you have to suffer so much through it, Dale. I extracted myself from corporate America. I hated it. I couldn't stand it. And we had to pay the price for that. We had to give up that income, and now we're on one income, and kept me out of the fray. And but a lot of families are getting all this stuff down.
And then they go global reset.
That would be great. Well, I guess that recording got shit canned. I don't know what we're gonna do. I guess we're gonna have to.
Well, maybe we could pick it up tomorrow again.
Recording in progress. Yeah, I mean, the internet's really causing a lot of problems. Hang up.
Right.
The internet's really causing us a lot of problems. I don't know if what we've recorded is saved or not, but let's just stop here since the internet's given us so many problems, and see if that recorded, and if it did, we'll get it up there and call it good. I mean, it was good to see you.
Yeah, we'll come back on tomorrow or next day or whatever. We'll continue on when it's not so choppy.
Yeah.
Are you on Comcast?
No, we have AT&T.
AT&T.
You would think it'd be better. All right, Dale. Well, hey, thanks so much.
We got lots more to say. I'm sure we can do this anytime. I'm working 7 to 3 every day now, doing renovations, hard work on my 52-year-old frame.
Getting beefed up over it.
But yeah, Hans and Franz style.
Hans and
But
Franz. All right,
I gotta
buddy.
do something.
I'll give you a call after we stop recording here, and we'll pick up with you from there.
Sure.
All right, bud. See you.
Okay.